Probable cause. You don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause. Probable cause. Yeah. Probable cause. You don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause. Now who's this in the 4.6? About 20 to 5. Got a truck full of chicks. Just leaving the disco. Me and my man from the Knicks. Old dog later on because they live in the bricks. Jumped on the George Wash to the natural turnpike. Head feeling right from a long night. Whoa, I see Jake, so I let off the gas. So I was doing 55 when I passed this. I looked over, caught the shine from the rim of the Rover. You know his next move, pull it over. I pulls over to the right hand shoulder. Look through the rear view, he got his hand on his holder. He had this look, how this black get this car. You know these cracker state troopers don't know rap stars. He asked me for my license and my registration. See my New York tags and he asked me my destination. I said vacation, handed him my registration. Papers were straight so I didn't wet the situation. Got my back and that was that, but that wasn't that. Cause in fact I got stopped 2 more times. Probable cause, probable cause. You don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause. Probable cause, probable cause. You don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause. Probable cause, yeah. Probable cause. You don't have to break no laws. They say probable cause.
KBLA Talk 1580. Wow. Okay, well, he's here, and the conversation already is off to an amazing start, even though you haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. We've been talking off the air. He's a managing partner and lead civil rights attorney for the Cochran Firm, the firm that was founded by the late and great Johnnie Cochran, and he's got a long list of cases that you have heard of for the past 25 years. He's one of the few attorneys that's focused the majority of his practice on civil rights cases, representing over 200 victims of police misconduct since 1995. Attorney Brian Dunn, welcome.
It's always an honor to be in your presence, Dominique.
Oh,
really.
thank you. It's great to see you, Attorney Dunn. I don't know how you do it. 200 cases now, that's week in, week out. And these cases, I mean, we've talked about this off air before. The files, the stories, the injuries, the murders that you review, how do you sleep?
I really have kind of foregone sleeping. You know,
really?
It is something that I think after you've been doing it for a certain period of time, it becomes who you are. And it is the type of law that is so engrossing that you're thinking about it 24 hours a day. I think that any attorney in this line of work has got to deal with some stress management strategies. But I would ask you the same question. How do you do it? But the idea is we're kind of called to do this. It's not a choice. It's just what else are we going to be doing? After, as the years turn into decades, you start to realize that this is something that is in your blood. But I got to tell you, Dominique, this is the most frustrating time that I have ever experienced in my 30 years of practice. This is truly a time in which the concept of civil rights is under attack. And as an attorney, a lot of jurors, when they find out who I'm representing, when they find out what I'm doing, they're looking at you like you're lower than pond scum. And it really is something that the Constitution is not something that matters to people. And we're dealing with an unprecedented era of just provincial thought, racist thought. And it's something that I'm seeing so often that it is getting to be just difficult to keep the faith. I hate to be so pessimistic in your beautiful radio show.
Well, we have to deal with the objective conditions and then find a way to be courageous and stay encouraged is what I keep saying. But I remember having a conversation with you, I think 2020, 2021, about how jurors were finally starting to question the official story. We're getting a little bit of grace for defendants. That's all gone now?
It's so interesting that you bring that up, because I remember those days and I remember thinking that the pendulum had swung, and I do remember thinking that we had come over a hump, so to speak. But yeah, it's totally gone the other way. And I don't know if you can blame the Trump administration, although he hasn't helped and his policies have not helped. But in general, the idea of caring about someone that may not look like you, or may not be from your neighborhood, or may not have the same political values of you, but it's just as American as you are, that seems to be just waning. And people are giving the police that I've seen just an extraordinary amount of an extraordinary lack of accountability for their actions. I just had a case. I was just telling you, we got the verdict. Actually, it was week before last on Friday. This young man had suffered a dog bite that caused the dog to literally rip this man's testicle out of his scrotum.
Ow.
And that is how long they had the dog biting him, for 25, 30 seconds or so. And yet we had to fight so hard just to convince the jury that this was unreasonable force. And we did get the verdict, but the jury only awarded $100,000 to him. And of course, it's an all-white jury. But the idea is we were happy to at least get the finding of unreasonable force, but this is just not the type of toughness of sledding
I don't know how you argue that that's not going to change the rest of your life. You no longer have a body part, which is pretty essential.
Yes.
And it's only worth a $100K.
Well, and not only that, but it was ripped out, literally, by a dog. And, these are some horrific things. These are some, very, very difficult concepts to wrap your arms around. But you got to somehow keep it together and keep moving on. And that was a lot of money to this jury for this. And they were like, we shouldn't have been breaking the law. If you don't break the law, bad things won't happen to you. Yeah,
we're back to that. Just comply, comply, comply. Comply and you won't die. But we know that's not true. We've seen it. We've seen Philando Castile and others. Are we having a massive...
I've never heard that complaint. You won't die.
I think I made it up. But, the thing about it is, are we having massive memory loss? Is it different people that are coming into the juries? Are we that gullible that we blow with the winds? Like, what is happening?
3 decades, Dominic. I've been doing the same thing for 3 decades. 30 years. I had my 30-year anniversary this year.
Wow, congrats.
And I have seen it. It's as if I'm wondering what planet that I'm on. I remember when I first started, it was Rodney King. And that started a very kind of a conservative wave. And then it kind of progressively came up all through the years. And it's just kind of moving back and forth. But now it's just moving forth and forth and forth and forth and not back. It's as if the pendulum has gotten stuck.
The pendulum is broken.
Yeah, it's supposed to swing back,
right,
but it's still stuck. And there doesn't seem to be any focused public problem with it. Now, you will see protests here, protests there, especially over some of the federal actions regarding ICE. But in general, just the feeling in the air, the feeling in terms of just the way average people are looking at issues involving excessive force, issues involving police accountability, it simply has kind of vanished in terms of something that people think is wrong. And
okay, I'm having a really hard time getting my mind around that, Attorney Dunn, because what I'm hearing is all of us that are listening to KBLA Talk 1580 need to get off our butts and go sit on juries. That's what I'm hearing.
It would be so wonderful to have a jury of but you know what's happening, Dominique, is we're getting hung jury after hung jury after hung jury.
Really?
Yeah, 2 hung juries in a row on the Albert Dorsey shooting. That was the LA Fitness shooting that happened. But there are folks that are showing up and they're not breaking and they're not bending.
And I saw that tape.
Oh, it was
that tape is terrible.
It's terrible.
Hung jury, what?
That guy was naked. I mean, it's still.
And they hunted him down like.
It was terrible. But the idea is you have to kind of understand that these aren't losses, and there are people who are progressive. I hate the word progressive, but there's people who are just fair,
right?
And they are keeping it from going too far off. But I mean, the idea of talking about the concept of an unarmed man being killed by law enforcement, just as a predicate principle, that used to bother people. Or a person running that gets shot in the back, that used to bother people. But the idea of telling someone that fact pattern and they're just completely blank, and it's just the idea of, well, the person shouldn't obey. I would obey a police officer, and everyone I know would obey. So if you disobey a police officer, you have therefore invited any form of retribution that the police officer feels appropriate under the circumstances, and that's not the Constitution. It's not the law. It's not the way that our constitutional democracy has evolved, but it's just something that people aren't having a problem with. And I get asked all the time about, Trump and how he has used the executive authority of his office essentially to repeal the minimal gains that we have made.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that, but I'm wondering, as I'm hearing you speak right now, whether the social media and television constantly replaying these murders of black people in particular by police has numbed people out to it.
It has. And so interesting that you brought that up, because you would think, okay, we see videos, we're going to realize something's wrong. What it has done is two things that are very bad. Number one, it has made the general public think that police misconduct is a black problem. And again, I'm completely in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and everything they stand for. But the idea is, what people are starting to think is that this is not something that happens to white folks. And when it happens more to white folks than any other race, they call my office when it happens. That is something that is a black thing. And what that has effectively done in the psyche of the majority population is that this is those people's problem. It's not my people's problem. But the idea is that all of us have the Constitution. It is something that all Americans enjoy. And I have gotten more calls and I have embraced more white mothers who have had their sons killed than the public would ever realize. And the idea is that has basically desensitized police to the idea of the division between the government and the person who is just the citizen. And that's a problem because it has made people think that it's only a black problem.
And to your point, I mean, I am convinced that if there was a white George Floyd, they wouldn't show it over and over again, because television doesn't show white people and others being murdered. They just don't. They will show us being murdered over and over and over and over and over. And I wondered if there was a desensitization. I don't watch it. I can't deal with it. I'll watch it once because it's my job, and then that's it. I'm done. I can't watch it 12 times.
I don't let my people show me videos anymore. They'll come in, Brian, you got to see this person. I say, I don't want to see the video. I do not want to see the video. Don't show it to me. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, you've already looked at the police report and, probably photos and evidence. And
I know.
Attorney Brian Dunn is my guest, 800-920-1580. If you have a question or comment, you can get in the conversation. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit Tremfya.com.
We all have regrets. That haircut, that text, missing out on Kohl's Cyber Days. Good news, you can fix at least one of those. Get up to 50% off gifts for everyone on your list. Sunday and Monday only at Kohl's. From cozy favorites to top toys, you've got 2 days until you miss out. Don't let Cyber Days be the sale that got away. Save at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles, offer ends December 1st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And Attorney Brian Dunn is here. He's the managing partner with the famous Cochran Firm. And it's not just a famous firm for you. Johnnie Cochran was actually your mentor.
He was, for the first 10 years of my career, I was working right with him. I got involved. I passed the bar right around the time of OJ trial.
Crazy. It was crazy back then.
Everything was crazy, but very electric, and I was so blessed. But I mean, he carried the torch for as long as he could, and he endured a lot of incredibly difficult times. For example, the Geronimo Pratt case. We talk about that as a great victory, and it was a great victory, but for 27 years, this is something that he had heavy on his heart. And, you know, you don't always see the right thing happen.
Yeah.
And even if the right thing happens, but it takes 27 years for it to happen, is that even the right thing?
And I think I actually was the first person that got to talk to Geronimo when he came out of prison.
Yes.
He came to my show because we had talked. He had been able to call in from prison.
Yeah.
And a lot of that 27 years was spent in solitary.
The first 8 years.
That's crazy to me.
And this was literally a targeted prosecution by the federal government under Hoover. But this is just the type of thing that if you ask Johnny, you know, and I would really spend a lot of quality time with him, what would he want to be known for? It wasn't the OJ trial. It was the Geronimo Pratt trial and cases like that, because they exemplify the struggle, the civil rights struggle. And they really do exemplify all of the hard work actually having a good result, because so often the wrong thing happens. So often that person doesn't get out of prison. So often the court does not give that person the hearing that they so desperately need. And, you know, one of the things Johnny said, it's not the OJs, it's the no J's that I'm interested in working with. And I miss him so much. You know, you lose someone that is such a powerful figure. It's been 05, so what is that,
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's way, and it seems like yesterday. But it was really a blessing for me. I just don't know how he did it. And
but yet you're doing it.
I'm surviving.
I think that the period of the OJ trial, when I first came to LA,
yes,
I feel like people were very racist then.
You could cut the tension in the air with a knife during those days.
Yeah.
And it was, LA is just a hotbed for, well, it's a flashpoint for a lot of what's going on nationwide. But when you're looking at what's happening today, I'm really starting to, in airports, in courtrooms, when I'm around, I'm starting to feel that type of tension. I'm starting to feel it crop back up.
Right. So do you think it's just as bad or I mean, in the courtroom is what I'm talking about right now. Because I remember during the OJ case, random white people would come and walk up to you and ask you your opinion about OJ, like as a litmus test.
Right. Am I going to like you? Now it's, yes, exactly. I don't think.
Now it's who did you vote for?
I don't think it's, I have to tell you, having lived through that, I don't think it's as bad.
No.
But I do think that there's something happening now where people are becoming desensitized on a more institutional level, on a more profound level to human suffering. And people are becoming desensitized to the suffering of folks that don't look like them, don't come from them. And a lot of that is the rhetoric that has been laid down from Washington, which, you know, this concept of law and order, which essentially says that whatever the police are doing, we must support unilaterally, no matter what.
Unless we're storming the Capitol.
Yeah, even if they themselves they're breaking the law. But the idea that has just basically turned into a political buzzword or a dog whistle, if you will, for just turning the other way to the real victims of police misconduct, which are not usually written about in papers, and they're usually from low-income communities, and they have not had a voice, really on any level of the American discussion. And when you're starting to see the immigrants or Mexican Americans or people who are dealing with these ICE raids, these are people that still don't have the kind of voice that they should have.
But we do have more empathy for them, it seems.
Yes, more empathy for them. But at the same time, what would a person do if they were on a jury in which they had to make a decision as to whether or not one of these federal detention officers actually used more force than necessary? And, empathy can kind of change under those circumstances. But I am happy that people are outraged.
Interesting. Okay, so what about policies? I mean, you said law and order is the thing, and I'm laughing because I was just talking last hour about how they're bombing these random innocent or possibly innocent citizens in the Caribbean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saying they're drug boats. Meanwhile, the president is about to pardon the former president of Honduras, who is a convicted drug trafficker.
Yes.
So the law and order piece.
It's my law and my order.
Got it.
That's my law and my order. But the idea is that's historically, if you go back to Goldwater, it's just historically those buzzwords have resonated with the the majority Americans. And when people are afraid, that's when you really see some pretty extreme abuses of power. And since COVID, I really think the general population has been more insecure, more afraid generally. And it just creates an atmosphere where the destruction of civil liberties is tolerated, even though people may not. It's just somehow tolerated.
So you blame COVID. You don't blame the rhetoric coming out of the White House, the fact that we seem to be sprouting up a war a week.
I think I blame the last 400 years. Can you blame one thing? I can tell you that the first Trump administration, it wasn't quite like this during the first Trump administration.
That's true.
We were still getting through to people in courts. We were still winning in court. Things were still happening. But this time around is somewhat different. And, what is really to blame? I don't know if it's so much Trump or is he the cause or is he this? We can go back and forth about that. But since COVID, I will tell you, people have just become more provincial, meaning they're only thinking about their neighborhood and their people. And it takes a lot for a black person growing up in America. We are naturally going to think about the person on the business end of the police shooting, whatever race they are. We're going to think about the world in terms of equality and in terms of fairness and in terms of just leveling the concept of social injustice because we see the world through the lens of the person that is disenfranchised. The majority now in this country, they don't see things that way. And if you are poor, it's your fault for being poor. If you're if you're the victim of an ICE raid, the majority will think, well, you shouldn't be here anyway. And if you're shot running, they'll say, well, why did you run? And the idea of all of these things are blaming the victim. It's it's institutionally blaming the person that is being disenfranchised, blaming the victim of social injustice for what happened to them. And it's backwards.
And you're saying that's become more the norm. Molly Bell's in the chat. She says she has letters from Geronimo Jijaga Pratt and pictures of her and Johnny Cochran. She says she loves her some attorney Brian Dunn.
I wish, I would tell her that I wish I had kept those letters because when I was such a green young buck, and Johnny took me down to court to meet him, and he was such a warm guy.
Yeah.
And we had a horrible hearing in court once downtown. We had this. We thought that we were going to be able to get his evidentiary hearing, and it was a setback. And I was in court next to him, and it went the wrong way, and I went to grab him. I was walking up, and he has bald head. I touched his head because I was going to give him an embrace, and the deputies, they came in, to tackle me. You can't touch prisoners. And I didn't know that, but my heart was just so. And Johnny was like, "Wait, what? Don't do that," But the idea is, he later wrote me and said that gesture of touching his head, just me touching, I could only get to his bald head before I got forcibly removed, but he said that got him through that hearing. And he wrote so many letters, that were really just showing his level of human feeling. And I didn't keep any of them because I never thought he would be gone.
Yeah.
It's just like Johnny. I wish I could have taken 100 pictures with him, but I never really. I have like a handful of pictures, but you just never think someone like that beautiful is going to just disappear. And that was just a beautiful, beautiful thing to be doing in the early part of my career. So I thank Johnny for all of those experiences.
Attorney Brian Dunn is my guest. We'll continue the conversation after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A church on Chicago's South Side is destroyed following a fire. This onlooker described the blaze that broke out at Renewal Life Church near West 59th Street and South Emerald Avenue.
It's heartbreaking, bro. It's like a scary movie. The building just collapsed.
The building was gutted, but no injuries were reported. A Cambridge cafe in Massachusetts is apologizing after refusing service and calling 911 on retired black journalist Philip Martin in a case of mistaken identity. Staff wrongly thought he was a man previously banned. The cafe calls the incident deeply regrettable and promises anti-bias training. And New York Knicks star Josh Hart was robbed of about $185,000 in watches and jewelry at a Soho hotel. Police say the theft happened back in September at the Dominic Hotel when Hart left a duffel bag in his room. No arrests have been made. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It was a mixed bag for LA's NFL teams on Sunday. The Carolina Panthers snapped the Rams' 6-game winning streak. The Chargers beat the Las Vegas Raiders 31-14, but quarterback Justin Herbert suffered a fractured bone in his left hand. Herbert will have surgery today. No word yet on how long Herbert will be out. In Carolina's 31-28 win, Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford was intercepted twice. One of the interceptions was returned for a touchdown. It was the first time Stafford had thrown an interception since Week 3 at Philadelphia on September 21st. The Lakers won their 7th straight. They beat New Orleans 133-121. LeBron sat out the game with a sore foot. Luka Doncic had 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Lakers are 15-4. The Clippers are in Miami tonight. The 5-15 Clippers have lost 4 straight. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
If you've been diagnosed with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, this is what it sounds like to be 1,000,000 miles away. Imagine being 1,000,000 miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy. With Tremfya, clearer skin is possible. In clinical trials, at least 70% of patients saw at least 90% clearer skin at 16 weeks. Results may vary. Tremfya is also indicated for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Call 1-800-526-7736 or visit tremfya.com.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
And attorney Brian Dunn is here. He's the managing partner with the Cochran Firm, has a long list of clients that he has worked with whose names you would know, has over 200 civil rights cases under his belt. And we're just talking about where we are right now. We've got a couple questions in the YouTube chat. Let's see. Would you ask your guest, does he think letters from Pauline Murray relevant today? Interesting question. Attorney Murray, of course, a civil rights icon, right? And I would think anything like that would be worth saving just for historical value, if not being worth money. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just the idea of we're just basically making footsteps here.
Yeah.
And time is something that is, as you get older, it goes by so much faster. And to have a letter from someone
it does.
just as something that you could hold, something or that you can keep. And the idea of an attorney, such as an attorney Murray, if they're putting their thoughts on paper or they're expressing themselves with a written word and you see the emotion in that, that is timeless. And the idea of being young, you think you're going to be young forever.
Right, yeah.
And you think nothing's, and then it's just like,
that's true.
You find out if something happens to your parents, heaven forbid, you find out about that from a phone call, and you're never ready for that phone call. But the idea is, what you have are the memories. I just wish that I had more tangible keepsakes, because I'm not a hoarder and I don't keep things, and I have a very simple lifestyle. But man, I just wish I had kept so many of the things that had come across my desk.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have our phones back then to take a picture of everything and everybody all the time, like we do now too. So it's harder to keep those memories. When you talk about these juries and where they are, the other piece of the puzzle that we haven't addressed is this idea of qualified immunity.
Oh, yes.
Right, which is a kind of a legal theory, right?
Qualified immunity has been a scourge to my practice. It has literally affected every aspect of the ability of a working civil rights lawyer to functionally do his or her job. And for those of you listening that may not know what qualified immunity is, what it essentially says is that if there has not been a similar case to the case that you're bringing, the police officer cannot be held accountable in federal court. And that is a judicial construct. It is not written anywhere in the Constitution. It has no legal grounding in terms of any aspect of historical jurisprudence defining how the Fourth Amendment usually is going to be interpreted. But what does that mean in practice? So just the case I had right then. Okay, I had a case involving an individual who had his testicle removed by a police canine after they had let that dog bite him for about 30 seconds or so. Now, you think if you would rather be bitten by a dog or be shot, if you could survive, you probably would rather be shot because dogs do an incredible amount of damage. And we have been litigating that case for 9 years because we brought it in federal court and it was kicked out of court because they said there wasn't a similar case to it. Now, you don't have to have a similar case in order to determine that something is wrong or something violates the Constitution. Certainly for the first 20 years of my career, that was not a problem. A judge was empowered to determine the use of excessive force. But now, qualified immunity has just really gutted people's access to justice in the federal court system. So we can still bring cases in state court.
Even though it's not a law.
It's not.
It's just an idea.
It's a judicial construct. And it used to, what matters, it's how things are enforced.
Right.
Because qualified immunity has existed for decades, but it only recently has it operated to just completely take out the rights of people who are bringing cases against law enforcement officers. And it's hurt so many of my cases. We just lost, Archie Williams did 37 years for a crime he didn't commit based on issues related to an improper lineup. But they were saying because there wasn't a case that was similar to his back in 1982, when all of these things happened, then the officers were not on notice that what they did was unlawful. And because they were not on notice that what they did was unlawful, then there is no case. And that is just completely at odds with any form of constitutional interpretation.
I mean, it sounds like what they always say, ignorance is not an excuse, right? But that's what sounds like exactly the argument they're making, ignorance of the law.
And the other thing is that it's the way you interpret it. So say you have a shooting of a person who, just say a kid goes into a liquor store, steals a bottle of wine, and gets shot in the back. And you're in federal court, and it's clearly a shooting. It's clearly the shooting of an unarmed person. But the judge has the power, the unfettered power, to say, well, you can't show a case where it's happened during this time of day, with this particular fact pattern, with this number of shots. And if you define a situation with sufficient particularity, you can literally create a situation where there's no way you can bring the case. And the other thing that qualified immunity does is it keeps the law from ever growing or progressing because you have to show something has happened in the past. But what if you're the first case?
Right. Then it's just a ridiculous paradigm. And my understanding is also that it's meant to protect public officials from
lawsuits,
from excessive suits or any kind of suits.
It protects them from being sued in the first place. It is designed to protect them. Immunity from suit is the concept underlying qualified immunity. But again, what it really does in practice is it gives them such a powerful defense to any federal claim that just the power of the federal court, gets vitiated. And I've seen, and I've had to explain to people, it's not my fault that your case got dismissed. And it's just that the judge said that there hasn't been a similar case to this.
Right, and there never will be because they're stopping it before it can take root.
Exactly.
So do we have any chance? I mean, that only applies to federal court, right?
Yes, it does not apply to state causes of action. And now a lot of lawyers, such as myself, are adapting and overcoming by always bringing parallel state law claims and then bringing these cases in state court. But they really should be brought in federal court because they're federal constitutional rights. And once you're in state court, you're dealing with a variety of other situations. A lot of those judges simply aren't ready for a case that has constitutional dimensions, and they get the law wrong all the time. And these are just ways that the access to courts have been just slowly and progressively diminished in recent years. And this is something that's really recent. I mean, 10 years, 7 years. I mean, you just didn't used to have these problems before. And I'm looking at all of these cases I have. I have these cases, Dominique, that are 7 years old, that are 8 years old, that are because they've gone up in the cycle. They've had been dismissed in federal court. We brought them in state court. And you basically have 2 5-year cycles that are going back to back. And literally half my caseload has somehow been seriously compromised by the qualified immunity. And
do we have any chance of getting rid of it? I know that Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley has a bill, but with this death grip that MAGA has on Congress, both houses,
it's crazy. But that death grip even is not going to be forever. The only way it's going to happen, because the Supreme Court's doing nothing. I filed 2 petitions. They don't even have to hear. You file a petition to the Supreme Court, you're basically throwing a dime into the ocean, hoping that somebody will pick it up. But they really don't want to change it. And I had a very interesting conversation with Karen Bass back before she was mayor, when she was a congresswoman, and she was championing a bill. After George Floyd, they got together all of these bills, and they were trying to have them passed to more accountability, more transparency. And one of the provisions that she had on that bill was to eliminate qualified immunity. And it was like one of the things, but she encountered so much resistance to that part of the bill that what ended up passing was a very watered down version. And that was symbolic. It was a step in the right direction, don't get me wrong, but it didn't have any real teeth. And when we start looking at what happened with qualified immunity, she told me that the biggest resistance was from smaller cities throughout the nation's southern cities, who have saved so much money from lawsuits because of qualified immunity that their insurance is now so much lower that just from the sheer economic standpoint of it, they don't want this to ever change. They don't want anything to be different. So when you take a state like Mississippi has a $250,000 cap on anything that you bring in state court. And they have this law in Mississippi, I know because I've dealt with it, where if a person was breaking the law at the time that force was used, it operates as complete immunity.
Wow.
But it's a state provision, and states can do that.
That's
so
crazy.
The only way anybody would have a hope of doing anything in Mississippi or Louisiana, or just keep going. Where's the other? Many states. You have to go federal.
I mean, Rodney King, that's what ended up happening here.
Exactly.
But now it's kind of the reverse of where we used to be, where when you can't get your civil rights from the state, you have to go to the feds. But now the feds are, it's
crazy.
The Trump administration, so there's really no recourse, right?
There is no recourse. And, the Supreme Court is become so politicized that they don't do anything that is going to fundamentally be at odds with the ruling power, the ruling party's desire. You have beautiful justices like Sotomayor, but all she's doing is writing dissenting opinions now.
Yeah.
And you would think, okay, people would describe her as being left, or they'll be liberal, or she's really just trying to apply the Constitution. And the idea that a judge with the stroke of his pen can take out an entire case, even George Floyd, if you look at it purely. Now, George Floyd was an exception because of the public outrage. That case would get kicked out of court on qualified immunity if it had been brought in a federal court, because you can't show a published opinion within that circuit where a similar thing has happened. And there's not a problem with Floyd because the entire nation is watching it. But the people that call us are not the George Floyds. The people that call us are people who have suffered loss of life, but maybe it's not national news, and maybe people don't know about it. And the most egregious breaches of our constitutional norms happen under the cloak of darkness. There's 8 people in the courtroom when these decisions are made, and it's not reported, and it happens. That's how the most systematic breaches of civil rights go down. But it's we can't ever give up. That's all.
I see you're not. This is attorney Brian Dunn, managing partner at the Cochran Firm. It's not too late to call us at 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Days after the Eaton fire devastated entire neighborhoods in Pasadena and Altadena, Black Freedom Fund, an organization that invests in leaders and organizations transforming Black communities, established the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. The Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund is supporting local organizations, providing direct resources to families, and making sure that recovery reflects the needs and voices of the people who live there. For many, the journey to rebuild is just beginning, and the Black Freedom Fund is committed to being with them every step of the way. Stand with Dina. Donate by texting Black LA to the number 707070. That's Black LA to 707070. Together, we can help our neighbors rebuild their homes, lives, and hope. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, with James Farr on KBLA, Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
Okay, we got a couple folks on the phones. I'm going to go to folks quickly because I really wanted to ask you about this executive order on policing the Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens Act. So we have time after these couple calls. We'll get to that. The yes or no question is does that have a material impact on your work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, when local law enforcement knows that there's not going to be a federal prosecution no matter what they do, when they know that any consent decree that may have affected their work has been summarily lifted with the stroke of a pen, what it's basically saying is this is less accountability.
Go get them.
So, you either have accountability coming from your department or it's not going to come on the federal level. And that signifies to the rank and file police officer that there is going to be less accountability.
It's wild west. Eric from Carson, you have the floor. Eric, you with me? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
I hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. The short
Sorry about
version,
that.
if you would. Hi.
Okay. Hi, Dominique and Mr. Dunn. I just want to tell you that I have a very serious civil case, and I filed it myself to protect my statute. And I've learned so much about the horrible civil justice system. But I want to ask you, which might seem obvious, between a jury and a judge, what is the better route if you hope to actually prevail?
Depends on what judge and what jury. And I'm not trying to be evasive, but you can do very well with most of the judges that are in the Central District, but there's about 3 or 4 places that you land. It's like, that in Monopoly, go to jail, go directly to jail, do not pass. But it's just you just landed on that thing. Now, a jury is a completely unpredictable and random event. In all of my years, I can tell you that their movements are completely unpredictable, even with the greatest foresight. If you get a jury consult, what they're going to do is largely unpredictable. So it depends on the type of case you have, and generally you always want to ask for a jury trial to protect your rights, and it's simply a matter of writing it down. But if your claim is arising under the Federal Tort Claims Act, for example, if something happened to you from the FBI or the Bureau of Alcohol, ATF, Tobacco and Firearms, those cases are going to always be brought in front of judges.
Ooh, good luck to you, Eric. We're going to go to Harry calling us from L.A. Good morning, Harry. I'm going to also ask you for the short version, if you would.
Yeah, we have $240 million worth of police litigation for the city of Los Angeles alone. That means that you watched a billion-dollar budget being squeezed. I'm not hearing a discussion of what the cost is and how a reasonable line in the middle somewhere allows for both protection of the individual and a city or state not going bankrupt.
Yeah, it's a fair question.
It's definitely a fair question, but the idea is, where is that money really being spent? And most of the numbers, when you start getting into the hundreds of millions, those aren't from police misconduct cases. Those are from sex abuse cases or class action cases that involved systematic sex abuse
within the department.
The biggest one right now is the sheriff's department was preying on juveniles.
Yeah.
But the idea is, you're absolutely right, and it is something that people have to be aware of. But what you sacrifice if you're going to limit what it is that the average person can do, you're always going to sacrifice constitutional rights. And LA has more than enough funds to train police officers to keep from doing acts that are going to expose the city to liability. But it seems as though they have consistently, at the highest levels, chosen that it is better to pay lawsuits than to prevent them from happening.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that if there was some liability from the individual or even the department itself, that would help. Because the departments, that comes out of the general fund. It doesn't even come out of their budgets. And if they had to suffer, I think they would watch the Fox in the Hen House a little closer.
Just take body cams, for example. Body cams have completely reduced the amount of excessive force that we see anywhere. They reduce the amount of excessive force complaints. But the sheriff's department has refused, or they have body cams, but they, for many, many, many years, did not want that.
Wow.
And it saves money when we have them.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Attorney Brian Dunn, it's always fascinating to talk with you. Now everybody's calling, but it's time for Tavis Smiley. He's got an excellent show on deck for you today. Like my dad used to say, Mary Baraka used to say, a man is either free or he is not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. Till next time, one love.
One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A church on Chicago's South Side is destroyed following a fire. This onlooker described the blaze that broke out at Renewal Life Church near West 59th Street and South Emerald Avenue.
It's heartbreaking, bro. It's like a scary movie. How the building just collapsed.
The building was gutted, but no injuries were reported. A Cambridge cafe in Massachusetts is apologizing after refusing service and calling 911 on retired black journalist Philip Martin in a case of mistaken identity. Staff wrongly thought he was a man previously